Chilling tales for dark nights.
Want to make sure you never miss a Chilling Tales for Dark Nights video again? Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to turn on notifications.
'Twas the night before All Hallows, when all through the graves sat young Jimmy, shaking, alone and afraid. The wind was a-whipping the trees with such glee, and a howling moan sprung up on the breeze. The dead were restless, all rotten in their crypts, while visions of human flesh was fresh on their lips. And the skeletons shook, and the ghouls were a blur, and the witches a-cackled, and the werewolves sprung fur. When out of the cemetery there arose such clatter, young Jimmy sprang up to see what was the matter. Away to the tombstone he flew like a flash. The most gruesome sight he beheld sliding through a slash. The full moon was bloated and bright and foul, gave the lustre of midnight a menacing scowl, when what to his horror should appear out of air so thin but a man cloaked in shadows with the head of a pumpkin, with a wicked old scythe so deadly and thin, he knew in a moment it must be the Pumpkin King. More creatures came seeping from under the ground, and he whistled and shouted to a horde of hellhounds. "Now devil, now horrid, now gruesome and Hades, come dreadnought, come basher, come crusher and rabies, to the children sleeping, to the town and the mall. Now get away, and snatch them all." As dry leaves scattered, and the wind hurricane flew, he whipped out a trumpet, and a screaming he blew. So out of the graveyard his horrid horde raced, each wicked one howled, with murder on their face. And then, in a wrinkling, Jimmy heard on the breeze the shuffle of dead footsteps and a rattling wheeze. As young Jimmy drew in a trembling hand, the Pumpkin King twirled, his minions stumbled round. Dressed in torn garbs from their head to their feet, blood dribbling down faces, past gnashing teeth. Skeletons, ghouls, witches, and frights went off in search of a terrifying bite. The Pumpkin King turned and regarded the young boy. His eyes, how they peered from a soul-sucking void. His wicked sharp mouth was hitched up in a grin, and his body in tatters so gangly and thin. Fire bellowed in his eyes and past embers of teeth. The smoke encircled his head like a shrieking wreath. He curled out a finger, as white as a bone, and beckoned to Jimmy to follow alone. He danced, and he slid out past the graves, and young Jimmy gulped down fear and tried to be brave. With a wink of his eye and a twist of his head, soon gave young Jimmy to know he had everything to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his task, frightening the people who laugh at his mask. "You don't scare us," was all that they said, and giving a jerk, he took off his head. He sprang to their faces and slammed down his crown, and away they vanished, never to be found. But Jimmy heard him exclaim ere he dived out of sight, "Happy All Hallows Eve to all, and to all a good night."
Chilling tales for dark nights.